Hello, YouTube. What is going on? This is GCTV, and I think it's safe to say that me, as well as a lot of other people, have been waiting for this film since it was announced. We are here with the 2023 American supernatural horror film based on the video game franchise of the same name, created by Scott Cawthon, super iconic in the game industry. We have Five Nights at Freddy's here, the actual movie. Can you believe they finally made a movie on this video game after years and years of just delays, cancellations, all sorts of things? So it's awesome to finally see this become a film. And yeah, just such an iconic game, iconic lore, crazy fan base. Let's we got the plot, we got kind of my review. Let's go, man. Obviously, there's not really much of a spoiler warning to give, because if you played the game, you obviously know like how the story goes, or just, I mean, if you've watched like YouTube videos on the lore, because it is kind of confusing. But getting into the plot, so at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, a once successful but now abandoned family entertainment center, a night guard desperately attempts to flee the building but is captured by a red pirate-themed fox animatronic and strapped to a device which plants an empty animatronic head onto him by brutally mutilating his face, killing him. It's just a crazy thing to imagine, especially when this game was actually made. People were thinking, like, what if this was actually a thing? It would be kind of insane. But, after assaulting a negligent father whom he mistook for a kidnapper, mall security guard Mike Schmidt is sent to visit career counselor Steve Raglan, and there is a pretty insane plot twist towards the end of the film with this guy, so we're going to get into that. But, so this mall security guard, he's kind of like, he's a little unfortunate. Obviously, he's super unlucky. Doesn't have a lot of good jobs lined up and stuff. He's done things in his past. Can't really keep a job for more than a couple months, and yeah, he offers Mike a job as a night guard at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which is like a long, shut down place. No one's going to be coming in there. You just have to make sure no one does. Like, it's pretty abandoned, so it's an easy job, right? Though initially reluctant, Mike accepts the offer after social services threaten to take custody of his younger sister Abby and pass her over to their estranged Aunt Jane, whose motive is a monthly paycheck from the state due to custody of Abby. So pretty much just getting paid for taking care of this girl, And it's really fucked up, obviously. He's got to win the custody battle. He's got to show, authorities that he cares, and show the court that he cares, and stuff like that. So on his first night, Mike falls asleep and dreams about his brother Garrett's kidnapping and presumed murder before seeing 5 children who witnessed it. When Mike tries to approach them, they run away. Such an interesting dream, and there's so many things in this film that tie together. It's a super intricate plot and storyline, and I mean, obviously, again, I'll bring up the game a couple more times, but if you played the game, you know that is the case there as well. So on the second night, Mike's dream is repeated, but when he attempts to confront one of the children, he is attacked and wakes up. And these are actually the animatronics, so like the lost kids are pretty much, their souls have like possessed these animatronics. They've came back to life, and yeah. So Mike meets police officer Vanessa Shelley, who notices his wounds and patches him up, and she realizes how dangerous of a place this is. And again, there's going to be a plot twist with her character as well. If you had no idea about this, this movie is really best watched if you have no idea what the hell happened, like in the movie or the video game and stuff. Which I played the video games, but I was definitely a casual player. I was just kind of playing it for the thrill of it. It's just kind of scary. I didn't really pay attention to the storyline all that much. So Vanessa shows him around the restaurant and tells him that it closed in the 1980s after 5 children were murdered there. Their bodies were never found, and obviously they took over the animatronics here. So Jane, the person that's trying to take Abby away from Mike, hires a group of juvenile delinquents to vandalize the restaurant in order to get Mike fired, an act which would enable her to gain custody of Abby. So as the break-in occurs, the restaurant's animatronic mascots, Freddy Fazbear, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Mr. Cupcake, come alive and slaughter the delinquents. So like as these people are breaking in, this was obviously like offensive to these children because this was like their sacred home at a time. It's really weird. There's interesting origin stories. Again, like if you watch this movie and you're confused about it, just go watch YouTube videos because people are really good at explaining this. They've played the game for years, and yeah. Among the vandals is Abby's babysitter Max, whose death results in Mike having to bring Abby to his night shift, and it's obviously like a kind of a curse, bringing her there, because she becomes a little too close to these things. So on the third night, the animatronics come alive and befriend Abby, but are hostile towards Mike. And this is obviously because of like the dream and him like chasing after the kids that are taking over the animatronics. He discovers that the animatronics are possessed by the ghost of the murdered children, whose leader, a blonde boy, consistently mentions a yellow rabbit, and we will figure out very soon in the film who this yellow rabbit is. So, on the fourth night, Abby is injured while she, Mike, and Vanessa are bonding with the animatronics. So during her recovery, she like tries to play this guitar and gets like zapped in the face, pretty much. During her recovery, Vanessa learns Mike is attempting to identify Garrett's kidnapper and warns him to not bring Abby to the restaurant again because they want her in exchange for him knowing like all this stuff, So Mike gets Jane to babysit Abby, much to her frustration, as he goes back to the restaurant during the day and overdoses on sleeping pills, which is really fucked up, obviously. And Jane is going to be wanting to watch Abby because she wants to look good for the court and stuff like that. And she can put that in appeals and, that sort of thing. So, inside the dream where he's overdosing on sleeping pills and he's, like, in a deep slumber, the 5 children appear again and tell Mike that he can stay with Gabriel forever in exchange for Abby. Right? Vanessa kind of warned him about that. So, during the 5th night, the final night, Five Nights at Freddy's, a damaged Freddy animatronic possessed by the blonde boy kills Jane and takes Abby back to the restaurant by hitching a ride with the taxi driver. The taxi driver is actually played by the wonderful Corey Kenshin, a legendary YouTuber. Mike is repeatedly attacked in his dream and wakes up strapped to the animatronic's torture device just as the security guard was at the beginning of the film. He escapes by removing pins that the previous deceased security guard had loosened, but is severely wounded by Foxy. What an interesting full circle moment, that they crazy plot device that they include in this movie. So Vanessa finds Mike and treats his injuries. After Mike explains his dream, Vanessa reveals that she is the daughter of William Afton, a serial killer who murdered Garrett and the 5 children by hiding their bodies in the animatronics, and that their souls are under his control. They're in these animatronics, and yeah, so Mike kind of figures out the lore for himself. Like, she kind of tells him about it. It's crazy, man. And she knew about it all along. So, yeah. Realizing that William is planning to murder Abby, Mike rushes to the restaurant with the necessary equipment to disable the animatronics. So at the restaurant, Chica attempts to kill Abby, but Mike arrives and saves her. Chica's like the Tweety Bird. Mike is attacked by Mr. Cupcake and separated from Abby. The Cupcake character is actually kind of funny. Like the CGI in the movement is kind of hilarious. The animatronics are eventually defeated, but they are reactivated by Steve, who arrives wearing the yellow rabbit suit as he reveals himself to be William before knocking Mike unconscious. So that's kind of like the really big plot twist in this movie. And you knew it if you played the game. Maybe they twisted it for the movie, though. Let me know in the comments kind of like how accurate this is to the game. I want to know that. But knowing that the animatronics need to understand the truth, Abby draws a picture of William murdering the children because he is the one that did it. Vanessa attempts to stop William from interceding with the plan, but is stabbed in the abdomen. So she's like bleeding out as all this is happening. Abby shows her drawing to the animatronics and they turn on William. Mr. Cupcake bites off part of the suit, triggering its internal spring lock mechanisms and fatally wounding William. It's like the self-destruct mode in the suit, and it's like these spring traps are like stabbing into him, and it's kind of funny because earlier in the film they were kind of mentioning the spring traps and stuff like that, the spring lock shit. The animatronics drag him into a back room as Mike and Abby carry wounded Vanessa out of the restaurant. She falls into a coma afterwards and is taken to a hospital. Mike continues to look after Abby as they return to their normal lives. And a lot of things towards the end of this movie kind of point towards, hey, we might be getting a sequel, which is super exciting. So in a mid-credit scene, the taxi driver is scared by a toy figurine that had previously surprised Mike, which is really funny. During the end credits, a distorted voice spells out, "Come find me." Again, this is definitely hinting at a sequel. I really think there should be more of this movie. I'm going to get into my review in a little bit. This is a super polarizing, super controversial film. Obviously just dropped last Friday, but there's a lot to say about it. Hello. We're back. I'm here to talk about and review this movie. we're doing like the review segment. So I'm going to kind of go through some critics and give my thoughts. I'm super mixed. This is probably going to be one of the more polarizing movies I'm going to do on the channel. I really want to like this movie. I think it's a really fun, enjoyable movie. But I don't know, like when you get down to the art of it, it's okay. I mean, it's solid. I don't know. Some people like it, some people won't. I don't. The animatronic characters were definitely underutilized. That's something I want to get out of the way. I mean, the film instead focuses on a baffling plot and backstory for their protagonist rather than actually like using the animatronics in better ways. It's a perceived lack of effective jump scares. And trying to adapt the game for the screen, they forgot what makes the original special, wringing unintentional laughter from its bizarre story instead of entertaining audiences. There's not as many jump scares. This is a really fucking scary game. Obviously, I was pretty young when I was playing this game, about 10 years ago, but it's supposed to be a scary game, yeah, it's a scary game, not really a scary movie. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry. There are jump scares, but no real thrills. There are no jokes, but no genuine laughs. I mean, the low stakes, late night thrill we expected from the material never arrives, held back by a mixture of indecisive restraint and misplaced self-importance. Five Nights at Freddy's is somehow a slog to get through and will be promptly forgotten somewhat soon. I feel like this is like sad. That's a sad reality. I feel like this movie is going to be forgotten pretty soon, honestly. I think they're going to do a sequel, but this first movie might be swept under the rug. Although Five Nights at Freddy's, based on a popular video game franchise, reaches for horror comedy flair, this dreary, mild adaptation never achieves the hybrid pleasures of certain movies. You may chuckle, but it's hard to tell if the movie is laughing with you. Five Nights at Freddy's has most of the right elements for a good post-Amblin Kitty Fright Fest, except maybe good dialogue and distinct characters. Watching the movie, one gets the sense that the game's morbid personality has been sanded down to its most generic jump scares, and banal revelations. It's the type of, it's handsomely made. It's a charming creature feature that'll play well at slumber parties or rowdy theaters full of its obsessed fans, which is precisely its target audience. Five Nights at Freddy's won't scare the pants off of seasoned horror fans. The animatronic denizens of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria will likely make you want to hug them instead. It's not a scary movie, but it's really fun. With robot heads containing flesh-mangling chainsaws, faces resembling that of battle-scarred Terminators, and the lumbering gait of Romero zombies, Freddy Fazbear and his pals would seem precision-tooled for terror. Sadly, though, they're about as scary as Barney the Purple Dinosaur in what is ultimately a ploddingly predictable, gore-light yawner. Yikes. Caught between PG and R, as well as lost to the crossroads of inadvertent comedy and horror, the PG-13 Five Nights at Freddy's has to go down as one of the poorest films, and probably any genre this year anyway. I don't know. I condemn the film's attempt to be a cuddly version of Saw, with faces being sliced open by robo-critters wearing saw blades. To keep the PG-13 rating intact, the camera and editor cut away just before the splurge nearly every time. The premise, meantime, Five Nights at Freddy's very likely would have made more sense as a straight-up R-rated splatterfest. How is this not a rated R movie? I don't know. This is going to be a long video just because it's new and people have fresh thoughts about it. I don't know. It's a slow start. It's pretty fun for actual Five Nights at Freddy's fans. With the exception of a frightful opening scene, there's a bit of a build-up to us finally getting to meet the animatronics. Arguably, it takes a little too long, but once you're in the thick of the action, there's plenty of it to enjoy. It's somewhat fun. There definitely needs to be a sequel. People need to get more of these animatronics characters to really, because this movie really could get other people to fall in love with this game franchise as well. And if they want to make a sequel, they need these animatronics to be heavily present in the film if anyone's going to enjoy it. So I don't really have anything else to say. I think it's a really fun film to watch, but as a film in general, as something that we're going to look at for rewards and stuff, like Oscars and stuff, it's nowhere near anything like that. It's just for fun. It's got a cult following. They kind of had to make a film eventually. Yeah, leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'm out. That's it. I do a lot of movies. Again, next week I'm probably going to review a couple new movies because my university has this weird movie platform I kind of keep forgetting about, and I'm going to be watching Asteroid City, so I might take a break from the horror movies and do more 2023 movies. I'm out, guys. Have a good rest of your night, day, whenever you're watching this.